Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jesus is Changing My Life podcast. This is a space where everyday people will share their stories about how Jesus is changing their life. We hope you enjoy this episode, and we hope it encourages you to tell others about the God who is changing your life as well. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Jesus is Changing My Life podcast. And man, I'm here today with AJ Burrows. AJ, say hi.
Hi.
So AJ is a college student at the University of Cincinnati, right?
Yep.
And Jesus has been working in his life for a long time. And so my hope today is that we could have a conversation just about what Jesus is doing, man, how life's changing for you. And I think maybe just start off by telling us a little bit about like your freshman year of college. Like, how was that?
Okay. Okay, sorry. I had the microphone a little far away. Okay, my freshman year of college was a lot. It was I took a lot of classes, but they weren't the big part. Like, I didn't really focus on them, I still passed them, whatever, but I really, really cared about my church. I really found a church down there. Other people from our church has also been down there, like Catherine Mays or Catherine Everett, for some of you old, like people who knew her when she was younger. But yeah, I found the same church, and it's just been a really big blessing in my life. Like the life group down there was just like they just accepted me like wholeheartedly and just like really just like grew close with me. And like I've never had such good friends or close friends down there. And I always think that they're like my second family. Is always what I say.
Yeah. So like you get down to college and you know right away I got to find a church.
Yep.
And
I knew that before.
Yeah,
I actually visited before I actually moved into college
awesome.
multiple times. So.
And so you went down there, you connected right away, and school's great, whatever. But you're like, no, all that's great, but like church.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's back up. Let's talk a little bit about like, tell me about maybe when you said yes to Jesus and what that looked like.
Okay, so I said yes to Jesus like when I was like 12 years. I think I just always tell people like 12 years old because I actually don't know the exact like date or time. But I was in like early middle school, like 6, maybe the next number after 6.
Yeah.
Like that grade, like 6th or 7th grade, and I was on the bus riding from school back home from school, and I was just like, this is something that I need to do. Like the Lord's put on my heart. Like I really want to actually follow Him. So I asked Him into my heart, and then my grandma, who's Becky Wiltice, was like, let's do it again at church like the next Sunday just to make sure. And I was like, okay. So we prayed to try it twice. And then from that day, I really did start like really truly following Him. Like I made sure I was starting to go to youth group, like being in Christian community, getting poured into, mentored by others, and just really like trying to learn as much as possible and really navigate like tough situations, but with the Lord rather than just by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a challenge we all like deal with for the rest of our lives, right?
Yes.
Like just like navigating and like letting the Lord lead your life is not like I just decided to do it and it worked. It's we constantly are trying to take back control, and the Lord's teaching us how to follow Him better. AJ, funny story. I don't know if my wife ever told you this, but our very first experience when we became the pastors here, and our son Jackson was trying to get involved in a youth group, and the first event was actually in Springfield at the state youth convention.
Yeah.
And we were still living in Springfield because we hadn't moved here yet. And so we dropped off Jackson at the church for the youth convention. And I asked her after she dropped him off, I said, was he nervous? Because, it's his first time with like new people or whatever. And she was like, I think he was a little nervous, but there was a youth leader who like just made sure he was okay. And I was like, well, that's good. And she was like, yeah, he was just like young and friendly. And like, he just made sure he got to where he needed to be. He told me not to worry. He would take care of it. And then after we moved here, she said to me, Tim, that wasn't a youth leader. That was AJ Burrows. What? Yeah. And that she thought you were like one of the leaders. She didn't think you were one of the students.
I've never heard that story. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, from day one, like AJ, you like from Jackson walking into youth group, I watched you just go like, yeah, I'll make sure he knows where he's going. Like I'll take care of him. And so I appreciate you doing that.
That's that's not the first time. Apparently, when Corbin and Arian came to like visit before, like the winter before they came, they also thought I was a youth leader.
Really?
And I was like, no, I'm a senior. Like, I'm not.
Maybe it's the facial hair.
Maybe.
Yeah. But if you don't know, if you're listening and you're not from Connection Point, Corbin and Arian are our youth pastors, and so. Well, hey, here's what I know, AJ. What I know is following Jesus doesn't stop the day you say yes to Jesus. Following Jesus is a lifelong journey, right?
Yeah.
And so Jesus continues to change and mold us as we grow. And so can you just tell us a little bit about like what's going on with you right now?
Okay. I could probably talk for like hours, but quick summary, like Connection Point and a lot of people here was able to raise a lot of money from you to be able to go on several H2O mission trips.
H2O is the church that you're a part of.
Yeah, that's my home church down in Cincinnati. We're a great church. We're mostly college students. We only have like I would say 96 to 98% of us are students who are actively attending. So we're really young. But I was able to go on a trip to Panama City Beach, Florida at spring break, not to party, but to actually be there to share the gospel and give rides to students who are there to party. So like drunk students, making sure they get back to their apartments and all that.
So you're keeping people safe.
Yep.
And sharing the gospel.
Exactly.
Awesome.
I mean, when you're given a free van ride, they're kind of trapped, so might as well, and you have a captive audience, right?
100%.
And recently, when this was being recorded, last Thursday, so a week ago from today, I flew in back from a mission trip in Costa Rica. I was there for almost 3 weeks, and the Lord just like the people, like I don't even know where to start. The Lord is just moving so much down there. We were doing a very similar thing on a college campus, just like our like church mission down at UC. So we were there, but on the National University of Costa Rica.
Okay.
And there, I was just like, we were on the campus sharing the gospel, talking to students who are able to speak English, and if they can't, we're using translator apps, inviting them to our partnered mission team down there called Hangout. They get together, they have Bible studies on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then on Wednesdays, they have their main thing where they invite students over for lunch. They share a meal with everyone, like 50 students, and then they share the gospel or someone's testimony or both, and then they take a picture, and then they hang out for the rest of the day, just in Christian community.
Love
it was just super great to just be able to go down there and just spend time with all these students, and they just love the Lord so much and just like leaned in. Like I was able to have the opportunity to lead two Bible studies going over 2 Timothy 1. And the first week as I was preparing, I'm like, man, I have to have some discussion points. Like I need to make sure like if the conversation gets stale, I have some points to go off of to go into the next thing. I wasn't able to use any of them because one, they either had their own observations or other things that they wanted to talk about that they saw in the passage, or they talked about the things I had wrote down. So I just didn't use them. So the next week I was like, we got it covered.
Yeah.
But they just like, it was really hard coming back. And I even prayed like, Lord, like if it's in your will, please cancel my flight or like delay it because I want to be here so much longer. But it ended up not happening, and I'm here, which I'm not bitter at all.
Sure.
But it was.
It's hard to leave places where the Lord's moving.
It is, and just where you just see like people with like such childlike faith, and they're seeking after like leadership and like wanting to be taught and like led with like in community towards the Lord. So. Luckily, I got all their like phone numbers, so we've been texting and that stuff. It's great.
Love it.
I already made a great Costa Rican dish called patacones.
Okay.
It's like fried, flattened plantains. It's like little discs. I know you guys don't have a camera, but it's like a little disc that is a plantain, which is not a banana. They're a little bit bigger.
Different. That's right. That's right.
Fry them, and then you just put a bunch of toppings. So we had ground beef, guac, pico, and cheese. But yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're down there. You're real. I think one of the greatest things for me whenever I have traveled to serve other people is it's such a reminder to me that God is everywhere all the time.
Yes.
Like that while I was at home, Jesus was there. But that doesn't stop him from moving somewhere else.
Exactly.
And when I find that when you get to places where they have less, or life is simpler, they're happier.
They are, yes.
You know what I mean? They're even with less than it feels like sometimes and maybe I should just speak for myself, feels sometimes like like maybe I allow the comforts of being here, to get in the way of my full dependence on Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah. And so here's what's interesting. Like, you did not go to school to be like a missionary.
No.
You went to school for other things, and you've been trying to figure that out. And now here you are, like, serving in like a missionary capacity down in Costa Rica. Has that messed with like job plans or like what you're thinking for your future?
Okay. It's kind of.
Okay.
Like
I'm kind of putting you on the spot right now.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Like this is something that I've been wrestling with
cool.
before Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So I was studying something called information technology, which is fancy for computers.
Yeah.
Like, just like learning how that works, right? And it was the most boring thing ever. I should not have picked this. It was an easy, it was easy classes, and it would lead to like a good paying job that's remote. And I was like, that's maybe what I want to try. It's not what I wanted to do. It was super boring. So in this past spring, one of my classes was interpersonal communications course, and I was going into it just like not wanting to do it because I'm like, it's an elective. Like, I know how to talk one-on-one with a person, right?
Sure.
But it was like one of my favorite classes semester. Not only because I actually did find the content really interesting because it's like individual, like the psychology behind like why we communicate with one-on-one, all the different like nuances, even a little bit with body language was really interesting to me. But also my professor was a Christian who was part-time teaching, but also full-time working with another Christian group on campus. So
wow.
I wore a shirt that said "Just Jesus," and at the end of class one day, he was like, "I really like your sweatshirt," and that began a conversation between me and him. And like 30 times after class, I'd go up to him and be like, "Okay, so how does your class material today relate to like a Christian or like mindset? Like how does that work?"
Yeah.
So he kind of led me into that, and then also with my first trip, Beach Reach.
Yep.
Coming back from that, kind of had something that like I call like, I guess, Christian nihilism. So like which if you don't know what nihilism means, like it's like a philosophy saying that nothing matters.
Right.
What I kind of took away from that was like, why am I doing this school when really what matters most is a kingdom forward mindset of like, why am I not just evangelizing every day? Why am I not just studying the Bible? Why am I doing this stupid schoolwork?
Yeah, like why am I existing as human when I'm not from this world?
Exactly.
Anymore? Yeah.
Right. And it was really bad for me because it really demotivated me from my schoolwork, which I should have been doing to honor the Lord that way.
Yep.
So getting over that, but I was also like thinking like, if I don't want to do information technology, I don't want to do engineering, which I thought I was wanting to do before. What do I want to do? I'm like, I really am interested in the medical field, but I also really like doing mission trips and doing this evangelism stuff on my campus, talking to people about Jesus and doing Bible studies with people. What if I'm called to ministry? So I was juggling those two because I was originally thinking maybe medical is the way, and it just didn't sit right like the other two. Like, yeah, I can do it. God has blessed me with intelligence where I'm able to do these things. But after those trips, it really was like, maybe the Lord's calling me to ministry. So going into Costa Rica, I had two thoughts in my mind. I'm like, do I want to do ministry? And I'm like, I think so. So we're just going to not worry about medical. Now, what do I want to do within ministry? I told my youth pastor that was at Connection Point, Tyler, Pastor Tyler Richardson. I think when I was like in 7th grade, I was like, I want to do international missions in the Southeast Asia region.
Oh my goodness, it's very specific.
Which is very specific. Yeah. I was like, I feel like the Lord put that region on my heart. So I was like, I want to do this. But then I went away because like maybe that was just because I want to travel the world and that area is really cool. And I was I was like really young, right? So, so I switched all that. But then I came back to it. I was like, what if I actually do want to do international missions? And I started looking into ways, like I got in touch with our church's local international mission board, which is like our church's partner, and just like learning what that looks like and like seeing like if I am going to do this, how soon can I do this? Like what is like the path? And looking to that. But then I was also my mentor down at and H2O was like, have you thought about college ministry? Because like you could come on staff at H2O and, we could work together and, all this.
Yeah.
Because I also was going down to Cincinnati thinking like, oh, doing an IT job, I'm remote. So maybe my future spouse would be on staff and I could go, and if she gets part of a church plant team, I could go with her. I wouldn't have to worry about it. Then my mentor was like, I told him that, and he was like, well, what if that person, instead of your spouse being the one that was part of the church plant team, that was you? And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of thought thinking about that. So I was like, going into Costa Rica, like, do I want to do international missions, or do I want to stay back, like home, do like domestic, like on a college campus? And I think it's changed to show, I think I want to go and do college ministry on campus.
Okay.
One, because I really have a heart for college students. They're really cool. And they're like new adults. So it's this really new phase where they have to navigate like life on their own, depending on like if they're still home with their parents and just commuting to college, or even if they're at college, they're kind of on their own, trying to navigate this new thing. And a lot of students do seek the Lord. Like there are so many people, like so many testimonies. My church was like, I went to frats, I was like partying it up, and then I met the Lord, and like this is the first time I really started following him. I'm like, that's so cool, super powerful.
Yeah.
Like college ministry is important because a lot of people are trying to seek their purpose and like what they should be chasing after.
Yeah.
And that's the Lord. We can help navigate people for that. So, and also I want to keep pouring into the people in Costa Rica, and our church does a yearly trip. So I would like to go again next year.
You can kind of do both.
I can do both.
Yeah.
So so it's super cool in that way where I can do both things. So I can have my cake and I can eat it too.
Yeah. What's really cool about that transition space of like the college age person is it's a unique season of life where, because you're an adult, you are questioning everything you've ever been taught. Like what is it that I actually believe? And in the process of that, a lot of times people in that age range walk away from faith because they make a decision like, I'm going to learn this on my own. I'm going to make my own mistakes. Right. And so they walk through that process. And then what happens is also between the ages of 18 and 24, let's say, you're deciding what your major is. You're deciding potentially who you marry. You're deciding like where you're going to live. You're making all these huge decisions that last the course of your life many times. And you're making them at the same season where you don't want to just have faith that your parents gave you potentially. Yeah. And so like the biggest decisions are happening sometimes sometimes happening in the worst season. Right. And that's why college ministry is so important is because it meets students where they are. And it says like, hey, I want to remind you that these, like the decisions you're making in your life right now, Jesus cares about those.
Yeah, exactly.
And like he's here and he wants to do this with you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I ask you the question, how is Jesus changing your life? Outside of like changing how you view ministry, what about like you personally? Like what's he doing? How are you changing, AJ?
So I feel like I really had to learn to lean on the Lord with these really big decisions, right? So like throughout from basically a little before Beach Reach all the way till like even now, I've really just been like in constant prayer. Like my heart posture has just been like fixed upon the Lord and just being like, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want to do? And like I've gone through, like I've gotten advice from multiple mentors down there, down at UC, and just like talking with family and just like, what do they see in me? And I'm trying to figure out like, what does the Lord have for me? So like, I really have learned to lean on him and through everything, like, cause I see how much he's worked, like with finances as well. Like I didn't know if I was able to even go on 2 or like one of these trips this summer, like they're at spring and the summer, because it costs a lot of money. But I came to Tim and he was like, hey, we're going to try to help you out with this. And all the trips were paid for with abundance. And I was able to bless so many people to be able to, like, through the money that was given to me. I was just like, this is so cool. And like, just the Lord provided so well for us. So it was just like really great. So I just like saw how much the Lord works in my life. So I'm like, let's just give it all to him, right? Like,
Sure.
like he's shown me like I know it's hard to do and it's very cliche, but like, and I find myself still like trying to take over control of certain things, and it's frustrating when I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? But like, just given like he's just working so much in my life, where he's just given me clarity on like what I want to do in life. He also has just given me such a good foundation.
Yeah.
Like before I went to college, and then even while I'm there in college, like he's just built up this house of just support, not only in the United States, but also in Costa Rica. Those people still want to reach out. They still want to talk and be in a relationship with me. So it's just like super cool and super unique that like the Lord has just built up this. So I think he's just like really showing me like the love of God, like from not only from him directly, but also through all of his other like children, like other followers.
That's the thing. It's like people step in and they provide support, and we know that, and Paul talks about this in the New Testament a lot. Like we know that when people provide support, it's the Lord providing support. And so we're grateful for the people, but we know who's really taking care of us. Right. And so I stood up in church on a Sunday morning and just kind of shared some of AJ's story and was just like, hey y'all, like he needs some financial support. Let's see if we can help him. And I think you left that day with all you needed for the whole, Yeah, and it wasn't just one person who gave you a ton of money. It was
the entire church. It was like everyone.
And so, and when that happened, you saw Jesus.
Yep.
And that's the way it's supposed to work. So if you're listening and you know that you gave money to help AJ go, I want to say thank you, but I don't want to say thank you for just giving money. I want to say thank you for helping AJ see Jesus in the midst of that, which is awesome. And so we need to start to wrap up because I think we really could do this for like an hour.
Yep.
And so, honestly, I think that there's a point, AJ, where if there's somebody listening out there who's 80 years old or 50 or maybe they're 16, I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're at a place in life where they just feel a little unsettled and they don't know what to do, and they're and they love people and they want to follow Jesus well. And like, what advice would you give to people based on your experience so far?
So I don't know if it's just because the Lord has put this on my heart, but I would say like try to find someone to either be discipled by, maybe if you're a little younger, or if you're older, who's been like you said, like 50, like 80, right? Like, and you've been in the faith for several years and you have a decent understanding. Maybe find a younger person to ask them, hey, would you want to be discipled? I would love to disciple you. Yeah. And just like really pour into others and also be poured into.
Yeah. It's basically like, don't do it alone.
Exactly. Right. Like, yeah. Like what you've been saying.
Yeah. Like pour in, like be someone who shows Jesus to others, and also posture yourself to receive. Yeah. Yeah. It's important.
Yeah. And like, especially like what you're kind of doing with house church. Like, so Tim on this past Sunday was talking about like, hey, I want to change a little bit like how church looks and connection point. And he's like, I want to kind of shift more into maybe like doing house church throughout the week and then like still meeting on Sundays. I actually, like coming from Costa Rica, we did house church down there. Like we invited them over to our Airbnb, like almost every night. We had a meal, we shared a meal together, and whether we were in fellowship or if we did like a worship night, it was just so great. Like it was like what the early church really looked like down there, because we didn't have a building to like meet in on Sundays. So him saying that was like, it's like Costa Rica again. But here,
we're gonna have Costa Rica in the middle of Sydney, Ohio.
Exactly.
But it is being in smaller community, letting people pour into you while you pour into them is critical. Yeah. It's critical for our relationship with Jesus, I believe. And you're experiencing it.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to wrap up. Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up?
To those people who did support me and are on my emailing list, I am so sorry that I forgot to send out the email from coming back from Costa Rica. But thank you so much again for supporting me. I think I've said it like a million times, but I'll say it a million more. Thank you so much again for supporting me. And then everyone else who's listening, thank you for also listening for 20 something minutes to all of us. But thank you so much.
And honestly, AJ, it's going to be fun to watch what Jesus does in you next. You know what I mean? And like, the cool part is you're so kingdom minded now. Right? That it has nothing to do with being in a building. It has got nothing to do with the typical,
like the normal
traditional structure of church. This is about being Jesus around the people who you're around, whether it's a drunk college student, it's someone in another country, right? Or if it's just somebody who just you meet on the street. Like our hope, I think, and my hope for you, just as your pastor, like my hope for you is that like you don't think you've arrived. You continue to fight and claw and move towards Jesus. And not just say, well, I finally figured it out. I'm good now, right? Because he wants to continue to change your life for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Right? Well, thanks for joining us today. Listen, as a reminder, the whole purpose is just for you to continue to ask the question, how is Jesus changing my life? And if you get to the end of that statement and you realize it doesn't feel like he is changing my life, I would encourage you to lock arms with someone who you can see Jesus in their life and allow them to pour into you, because it makes all the difference in the world. Thanks again, AJ, for being with us, and we will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.